Is your photo editing software spying on you for the big social media companies? Are your Docker containers and repositories sitting out where just anybody can get at them? Maybe the tech support app on your computer is really the security vulnerability into your computer. Car thefts are being aided and abetted by car sharing apps, and a good old-fashioned phishing campaign at the moment centered around PayPal. All of this on This Week in Cybersecurity with the Code Curmudgeon. So as always, it's an interesting week in cybersecurity this week. Our top story, Luminar, which is a photo editing piece of software that is really gaining ground. They've got a lot of AI functionality, etc. I happen to use it sometimes myself, not for everyday work, but I do own it and install it. It turns out that they are in the background gathering up data and sending it off to Facebook. And their answer to this was that, hey, you can opt out if you want, and it's not identifiable, and it's just analytics anyway, and you can even ask us to delete it. But this is going to be a little problematic. First of all, what are they gathering? I think about this from a GDPR perspective, right? If I'm going to gather data on people, I need to do a couple of things. One is they need informed affirmative consent, meaning not that they can opt out, but that they must opt in. And when they opt in, they need to understand, because that's informed, what they're opting into. So those are clearly missed in this, right? Another is, what are they actually gathering? Like, I can't tell. They're saying it's for analytics. By the way, their analytics are Facebook. Like, if you're gathering data on your users about how they're using the software, which methods, what size files are there, what kind of image problems you're having, crash data, etc., you don't need Facebook for that. So I'm a little confused and, let's say, suspicious based on this. But I would want to know, what are you collecting? And then, again, in GDPR, what is the purpose? Why do you need this particular piece of information? Then you opt into it. So that's kind of a fail right there. Further, I want to know that I can delete it, right? Like, for sure, not, hey, give us a call, we'll delete it. But also their cavalier attitude toward this can't be connected. Again, without knowing what data they're storing and how they're storing it, I have no idea. Let me say that again. I have no idea with this data whether or not it could be reconnected. We have found time and time again that people who have anonymized data have not really done a good job, and other people have been able to reverse engineer what the identity is. So I don't know what they're gathering. I don't know if I'm comfortable with it. I know that their claim that it's necessary to make the software work is apparently not accurate, because one of the researchers completely blocked port access. So the software wasn't communicating with the analytics, and it appeared to work just fine. So transparency, people. If you're going to collect data on people, I'm not saying don't do it. Tell people you're collecting it. Tell them exactly what you're collecting it, how you're protecting it, and what value you're going to give them when you collect the data. I'm okay with it if you're collecting something that has a rational perspective to it and you're doing a good job protecting it. So, misconfigured Docker repositories. This is a classic. I don't think we've discussed it yet. We might have, but it's one of those things that's happening on a pretty regular basis. Somehow people are misconfiguring cloud instances, and essentially they're putting something up in the cloud. Maybe it's a Docker image, maybe it's a code repository, maybe it's an AWS image, and there's really no controls around it. There's no authentication required. So they pop it up into the cloud, and anybody who wants to can access the thing. So researchers did some study and found a couple of thousand repositories available, and 100 of them didn't require any form of authentication whatsoever. So the cautionary tale, like, make sure when you're putting stuff in the cloud, understand that the cloud is someone else's computer and it's not inside your building or your house. And you need to make sure that you're configuring stuff securely. The 2018 Cloud Security Report said that misconfiguration was the biggest threat to security today. So I'll put a link to that, but there you go, like configure stuff properly. Dell Support Assist bug. This is not the first time I have seen a computer manufacturer have problems with their support assistant. In fact, it's really, really common. They put these support assistants in place to help you, to make your life easier, to help you resolve problems before you have to contact the dreaded please hold tech support line. And they put it in place to help them better understand what's going on instead of tech support people having to ask you hundreds or thousands of questions. And by the way, we all know you're going to lie to them. I've done tech support, you've done tech support, you know, everybody lies. Did you turn your computer off and on again? Yes, I did. No, I didn't. So there's definitely valid reasons for having it, but it's funny because this is viewed as sort of a weird tertiary value of the computer being sold. It's often not tested as well as it should be and not thought about from a security perspective. So in this case, the Dell Support Assistant actually, unsurprisingly, allows an escalation of privileges to execute arbitrary code. In simple terms, whoever attacks the program can basically run anything they want with admin privileges. So they can look at and do anything on your computer. Not great. I put a link down below to the Dell support site, so it walks you through how to check if you have a bad version, etc., but keep it up to date. And cautionary tale, I'm not picking on Dell here. This is a common problem. Keep your operating system up to date, and if the vendor of your hardware has their own particular applications running, make sure you keep that up to date as well. Okay, car thefts related to car sharing app. Like, who knew that car sharing apps could be used by thieves? The answer, everyone. Right? This one's kind of funny. It's an app called Getaround that lets you share or rent your personal car. So it's kind of the opposite of the gig economy. Rather than me grabbing bodies, I'm letting my car be a gig rental. So I put my car somewhere, I have the keys sitting on the dash, on the visor, on the floor, whatever, and I have this app attached to it so people can unlock the car using the app, and then they can grab the keys and off they go. And it turns out car thieves went, oh, cool. Here's a list of a bunch of cars with the model, the exact location, and we know the keys are there in it. So this happened to be in the DC area, and there isn't a lot more detail at the moment, but it's one of those things that in cybersecurity you forget about. By the way, there should be other codes that people should tell you that your car's in motion. There are some add-ons to this software that let you do things like a code key thing they have to do, etc. But you have to think about the real-life ramifications. In the cyber world where we have apps attached to cars and such, that doesn't mean that normal car thieves went away. Right? We have all the old security problems that we used to have. So this one made me laugh more than anything. Just if you're doing these kinds of things, if you have apps connected to your car, especially if they're sharing apps, make sure you really understand the security ramifications. And finally, phishing. This one is PayPal this week. There was a warning coming out about a new PayPal phishing campaign because it's asking for like your social security number and your driver's license picture. Like, don't do that. Don't send those to people. That's crazy. But I wanted to just quickly cover phishing in general because phishing is probably the biggest cybersecurity threat most people and most organizations face today. And so these kinds of phishing campaigns from companies you do business with, your bank, your email provider, photo websites, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, etc. Like you're doing business with somebody and they send you an email and say, your account is going to be locked, your account has been locked, your account has been breached, we've changed your password, please contact us immediately. Like, these emails are just garbage. This doesn't, these bad things happen, but this is not how you find out about them. So, number one, understand that 99.99% of all emails you get like this are just garbage. And if you've got any doubt on what to do about them, just delete them and ignore it. And that's probably enough. But if you're worried and want to know, there's a couple simple things that you can and should do. One, never, ever, ever, ever click an email link. especially one in something like that that's, supposedly from your provider. Even if it's a latest updates from HBO, click here to see. Don't do it. If you're curious, go to hbo.com, log in with your credentials, and see whatever it was you were looking for. On the other hand, if you're worried about a problem, maybe it's again your bank, maybe it's your streaming service, maybe it's your PayPal, then what you want to do is go to the site, log in, and look for messages. If you don't have any messages and your login password works, that email that you just were fooled by is phishing. And trust me, they're really good at making these things look real. So just a bit of cyber hygiene today on the phishing campaign. Don't ever click links in emails. If you're worried that something's going on, go to the site directly and log in. If you don't have a warning notification, message, icon, banner, whatever, then don't worry about it and get rid of it. If you're still worried, call the company. Get on the phone. Don't use a phone number in the phishing email because it's easy to set up a fake phone. Don't send to an email address in the phishing email because it's easy to set up a bad email address. Just call the company and ask them. But basic cyber hygiene, be suspicious of weird scams like this. This is just not how you're going to find out about these things. So with that, thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe to get regular ones. If you hit that bell, you'll get notification when they come out. And hit me up in the comments if there's something you'd like to hear about, something you disagree with, something really cool that you heard about. Have a great day. Stay secure out there.